Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 26, titled Traitor. In the last episode of Attack on Titan, we had a much needed talk with both sides in an attempt to clear the air before proceeding with their plan to stop Eren and the rumbling. We learnt of the devastating truth behind Marco's death, which was a mystery we have been waiting to have unraveled for the longest period of time. And after hearing how his friend met an untimely death, Jan attacks Reiner, stating he wouldn't ever forgive him. But after everything's been laid on the table, our group is united and have set aside their differences for the purposes of stopping Eren's attempt at genocide. But an immediate obstacle being Flock and the Yeager stands in their way as they attempt to get their hands on the Azumabito's flying bolt, which is a necessity for their plan to even work. But just what would they have to do to overcome this obstacle? So today I'm going to be breaking down and analysing this latest episode of Attack on Titan while clearing up some things you might have missed or weren't sure about. So if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Attack on Titan content. And just to keep things interesting, let me hit you guys with a little question before the video starts. So the question is, who is your favourite Attack on Titan character and why? Be sure to comment that down below. And let's get right into the video. With the beginning of episode 26, we see our group made up of the Paradis and Marley forces scouting the dock where the flying ship resides. Since Flock and the Yeagerists have already taken the place over, Hanj and Mag have come to the conclusion that the Yeagerist forces still aren't sure about their motives, which is why they haven't destroyed the flying ship. Since we know that the technology of the Azumabitos is more advanced than pretty much anything on Paradis, and with the rumbling set to destroy the rest of the world outside of Paradis, this technology would be invaluable and isn't something that should be destroyed on a whim. And as we see our group preparing to raid the hangar, Hanj makes it clear that even with the power of the Titans on their side, this will still be an insanely difficult task to complete. Since if the Yeagerists catch wind of their plans to steal the flying ship, they can easily destroy it and they'll then be powerless to stop Eren and the rumbling. So although the objective of the mission is fairly straightforward, this is going to require perfect execution. And it doesn't help that naturally Mikasa, Jan, Armin and Connie don't want any casualties due to the fact some of the Yeagerists are comrades they've known since their early days in the training corps. And just like the episode before this one, we have Annie being the voice of reason, pointing out the fact that they don't have the luxury of compromising with the Yeagerists, protecting the boat and having it worked on by the Azumabitos with zero casualties. However, Annie's reasoning being supported by Peak and the fact that time is literally running out for humanity convinces Armin and the others to get their hands dirty and accept the fact that they might have to kill their own people and friends to make this mission a success. And before they came to this conclusion, we had Reiner reminiscing on his talk with Eren back in Marley when Eren claimed that he was the same as him. This event came to Reiner's mind following Annie's statement to Armin and the others, saying that if they were in their position, they probably wouldn't have destroyed the walls that day. Which is basically pointing out Armin and the others' priority of the masses over themselves and I guess moral good over their self-interest. Whereas with Eren and Reiner, they both acted based on their personal feelings and cause. Eren with the rumbling and Reiner with his mission to destroy the devils of Paradis, further showing the similarities between the two and the fact that they both protect what's important to them no matter the consequence. And that these two characters act not just based on their environment but by their own will, since Eren could have easily gone with Zeke's plan and Reiner could have easily returned to Marley after the mission was compromised following Marcel's death. They both move forward into hell to see their goals fulfilled and to protect those close to them no matter what awaits them. However, moving on from this, we learned that the Colossal Titans from the rumbling have likely reached the continent of Marley, which increases the urgency of the situation, especially for our allies who reside there. And in a rage, Magath pins Yelena down to the ground, trying to force Eren's location out of her. He even breaks her arm in the process. And when the idea of Marley and the whole world being destroyed really hits Magath, he expresses his regret on how he treated Eldians this whole time verbally, while making it clear that they all have the responsibility to make sure the future generations learn from their messed up history. And just as I mentioned last episode, this realization of people all around the world being the same despite their race is becoming more clear to a lot of the cast, and while we saw Gabi learn this lesson in a very harsh way, the same thing is happening for Magath, which is a great thing to see. So moving on from this scene, we see Flock doing typical Flock things as he threatens to kill Kiyomi Azumabito and their people if they don't fall in place. And as it looks like Flock is getting ready to pull the trigger, Armin and Connie serve as a distraction. They say that they need to chase the Marleyan warriors with the pretense of Jan and Noyankabon being killed by them being valid reasoning. But obviously this is just a lie they came up with so they can get access to the flying boat safely. On another note, I want to just quickly point out how good this episode was at handling the interaction between characters and showing just how desperate our main cast was in this situation, especially when they had to betray their comrades and even kill them. You could really feel the raw emotion from the characters, so shout out to the voice actors because they definitely elevated the scenes to another level today, so shout out to them. But moving on, Armin and Connie managed to get Daz and Samuel to disconnect the bombs tied to the flying ship. Flock, being the thorough man he is, decides to kill the mechanics to prevent any potential risk to the new Eldian Empire, and just as we think all hope is lost, Kiyomi as Mobito flips him to the ground, buying enough time for Mikasa to swoop through the window and take out the current Yeagerist threats. And although the plan is still salvageable, Flock has alerted all Yeagerists on sight of Mikasa, Armin and Connie's betrayal, so there's only one path left for them to take. All out war breaks loose on the dock, and we see the Azumabito being led by Magath to safety. Reiner and Annie smoothly enter the battle, and honestly their transformations were so sick. Just seeing the armored and female Titan working together was a highlight of the episode for me, and naturally the Yeagerists are struggling to take the two warriors down. But then just moments after this, we reach the most heart-wrenching scene of the whole episode, the struggle between Connie, Armin, Daz and Samuel, which was definitely painful to watch, and that's what made it so good. Seeing them betray their friends for the sake of humanity and just how difficult it was for both sides was just insane. Daz and Thomas could have easily killed them, but they just couldn't find the kill shot, and we even see Armin reminiscing on Bertolt's words of someone has to do it, someone has to get blood on their hands, before Connie kills his two friends. So it was definitely a sad sight to see, especially when you keep in mind Samuel was someone we were introduced to in the first season. Fair enough, he doesn't have a strong presence in the series, but for Armin and Connie this would have been especially difficult killing him. Heck, even Sasha saved him from dying at one point, so seeing him die by Connie's hand is somewhat ironic, especially when you take into account that Samuel recited Sasha's words of getting more land than eating meat together shortly before being killed by Connie. But with that being said, we come to the end of the episode. Episode 26 was honestly one of my favourite episodes this season. In terms of action and suspense, it's definitely picked up from recent episodes, and trust me, I'm all for heavy dialogue information based episodes, but seeing the desperations of both sides today and their struggle just made for an amazing spectacle. And obviously Annie and Reiner fighting together, we just can't forget that either. So keeping all of that in mind, I'll rate this episode a 9 out of 10. But what did you guys think about episode 26? Be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Also, if you have any questions or things you wanted me to clear up about the episode that I might not have touched on in my breakdown, feel free to comment that down below and I'll be sure to respond. Like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.